Welcome to the postmodern world, in which the only absolute is that there are no absolutes, and your opinion is as good as anyone's. Or is it? Hey everybody, it is Wednesday. That means it's time for Bible study. We invite you to join us at 7 p.m. in person downstairs, online via Zoom. All the information in the description under this video, including a button that should send you right to us, where we're going to join together in reading from and talking about the 13th and the 14th chapters of the book of Proverbs, this book of wisdom stuck in the middle of your Bible, God's wisdom. And when we get into chapter 14, we come to the question of truth. We come to the question of whether your truth and my truth and his truth and her truth are equally valid and equally invalid ways of understanding the world. Because that's, unfortunately, the water in which we swim. You live in a world in which the only virtue is found living according to your own beliefs, whatever those beliefs may be. And the only sin consists in insisting that your beliefs are true for everyone, everywhere, at every time. We live in this world in which every single person supposedly has the right to define truth for himself or herself, and no other person has the right to tell that person that that person is wrong. Now, that sounds all nice and comfy and tolerant, right? But look, it fails even the basic logic test. That is to say, what if that guy over there really is wrong? What if he decides that, you know what, the Nazis were right, and Hitler's Mein Kampf is a great summary of his own personal truth, right? What if he decides that he really ought to be able to marry 4 or 5 women, even if some of them are 11 years old? Who's to say he's wrong? There are no absolutes. That's the theory, at least, right? Well, there's no room, as it turns out, in biblical Christianity for that kind of relativism. Christianity insists, the gospel insists, that Jesus Christ himself, in his person, is the one and only absolute truth valid for every person, from every culture, in every place, at every time. And the Bible warns us that to follow our own paths, so to speak, to seek our own truths rather than his, leads only to destruction. And you get that here in the 14th chapter of Proverbs, verse 12, where it says, "There is a way that seems right to a man, but its end is the way to death." There is a way that seems right to a man. We can talk ourselves into all kinds of things, can't we? I mean, I can make my opinions sound thoroughly reasonable, even if they would have shocked and appalled anybody born more than 50 years ago. I can come up with something new. I can justify it to myself. I can come up with 100 reasons why I'm right. We live in this culture that presents itself as being the obvious, the obvious truth, the obvious way. We live in a culture of death masquerading as personal autonomy. From the choice to poison your own body, to the choice to sleep around, to the choice to get rid of your children. All of those choices seem right at the time, or at least we can talk ourselves into them, and yet all of them stink of the grave. And you can come up with 100 more examples of ways that seem right to a man but lead to death. There is, as it turns out, thank God, one way that, whether it seems right to a man or not, leads to life, and his name is Jesus. More on that this evening. I want you to look at chapters 13 and 14, see what strikes you here, see what jumps out at you, write it down, take a little note, and bring it to us. Again, we'll be in person downstairs, online via Zoom. Hope to see you 7 p.m.